Hey there, it's Richie and Alex with Stellar Pinball. This instruction series is for the Flying Falcon Mod, Design Revision B. And the easiest way to tell which revision you have, if you look on the box that your mod came in, turn it over on the back. If it's Design Revision B, it will have the sticker. If it does not have a sticker, then you have the initial release. And if you have the initial release mod, then go to the link in the description below and you can go to those video instructions. The installation is very similar, but there are some changes. So to begin with the instructions for Design Revision B, let's look at what's in the box. So we have some cable ties. This is your power cable, wiring harness, and a connector removal tool. This is the motion control unit and the mounting base, some mounting screws for the Falcon. And then we have a spotlight housing and mount. And here we have the engine module. Tools required: needle nose pliers, some flush cuts for cutting the cable ties, 5/16 wrench, and a number 1 Phillips screwdriver. Okay, for the installation, the first thing you'll want to do is remove your lockdown bar, then the glass, and take the balls out of the game. And we're going to start with the playfield up. We're going to be here at your node board that's at the front of the machine on the left side. So here's the power cable. This plug is going to plug into CN11, which is right here. Now, if you're going to install more than one mod, like we are in this machine, you can get this splitter board that's designed and built by Stumbler Pinball. This board is available on our website or on his website. So you can see we've got the splitter board plugged into CN11. If this is the only mod that you're going to install, then this plug would plug into CN11 right there. But since we have multiple, we're going to plug it in right here. And just be careful that you actually get it on fully on the pins. It's really easy to get it off by one, so just double check that. And then I'm going to take and just tuck the wire into the mounts right there. And we'll just put this back there for now. All right, now we've got the playfield back down in the forward maintenance position on the rubber feet. Now what we want to do is remove the Falcon. So I've got my 5/16 end wrench. If you just loosen this nut several turns, you can get it loose enough to just slide forward like I've done here. And if we flip it over, we can see the spotlight. And we'll just remove this nut. Okay. And pull the spotlight off, and we're just going to set this aside. We'll mount this again later. And then there's a washer on the stud that we want to take off. All right. Now we'll need a Phillips screwdriver. We're going to remove this screw right here that's holding the engine LED on. There's a little black spacer on the back of that too, and that'll probably just fall inside the Falcon. We can get it out later. Okay, pull that screw out. And if I lift this up, you can see the black washer right there. I'll take that out. Okay, for the next couple of steps, it's easiest to take your Falcon to a workbench or a table. What we're going to do here is I'm going to use my screwdriver and just push on that engine insert. It's a little bit stiff at the beginning there, so we'll slide that guy out. Okay. We'll take these 3 mounting screws out. Okay, now we'll just remove the mounting bracket. And then we've got the Falcon engine module here. What we'll do is turn this Falcon over in this orientation. And the engine module in this orientation, you can tell because it's got this detail on the top, and it's also got these little spikes. So what we're going to do now is insert the wire in that slot like that. And then we need to snap the module in. So you can either line this corner up and push this side in first, Or if it's a little snug, you can actually back it off to the side just a little bit. It makes it a little easier, and then slide it to that position so these line up right there. And then the last step, push this side in. You should hear it snap. And I like to kind of press on the top and make sure it's fully seated. So that looks good right there. Okay, we've got the Falcon flipped over on the back side, and you can see the wire coming from the engine module. And I've got the motion control unit here. You can see the wire coming out that side. Now the next step is to plug these two together, and they're color-coded and keyed, so you can't get that backwards. We'll just make sure that's firmly seated. Now the next step is to tuck this wire inside the Falcon, and the important thing is we want the wire to live in this region right here so it doesn't get pinched by the motion. So to do that, I'm just going to tuck that wire under like that, and now we're going to start to insert the motion control unit. We're going to start with the back end right here. So you can see I'm going to tuck that side in first and then tuck the second in. Now because I pushed my wire inside, it should be living right here. And to check that, you can just hold on to this flange with your hand and move this back and forth, and just make sure that the connector didn't end up underneath this pivot. We want it right here on the side. Okay, so the next step is to install the screws that came with the mod. These are shorter than the original because we don't want them interfering with the wires inside. So I'm going to start all three before I snug them up. The heads of the screws help locate the mod on the Falcon. So I'm just going to start these three. And then you can see those heads are going to bring that into alignment. Now you don't want to get crazy with the torque on these because you'll just blow out that plastic hole, but you can get them nice and snug. Okay, so now that's mounted, I can do one final check and just be sure that that wire is down here where we want it and out of the way. Now it's ready to install on the machine. The next step is to mount the spotlight. And so we've got our little spotlight mount here. It's already got a fastener in it with two plastic washers. So we're going to loosen that and try not to drop those in the machine. And I'll set him down here for a second. So what we want is a washer on each side of this spotlight flange. So I've got one on the head already. I've got the second one here. We'll put that on. And then on the flat side of this mount, so this side is the side that goes on the wire form. On the flat side of that mount, we want to attach our spotlight. Okay. Now because it has a washer on each side, I can tighten this down pretty good and adjust the position later. Now we've got our spotlight housing, makes it look a little nicer. To put that on, I'll just take the bulb out real quick. And the end that's got the ring on it is the end that goes out. So I'm going to slide that over the housing like that, or over the bolt mount. Now I can just slide this back in, twist and lock it. Okay, there we go. Now, as far as the location for this assembly, it's going to go right here on this curved section. And the easiest way to locate it is just directly in the center of these two wire form supports. And I'm going to hook it on one side first, and then I'm just going to push up on the back and snap it on, like that. And I'm going to scoot it back just a little bit so it's centered. Now, since that screw is tight, I can just rotate the spotlight until it's pointing at the Death Star, just like that. For the next step, we've got our mounting plate assembly here. And on the back side, you'll see this feature with a screw in it. That is the cover for what used to be the Falcon engine light, and we're going to use this to tell the microcontroller when to turn on the engine. So what we want to do is remove this screw, and I'm going to set that aside so I don't lose it. And I'm going to set the base aside. Okay, and we need to prepare this this board here a little bit. So what we want to do is carefully bend these wires down straight, and you're going to end up with a little extra wire on the orange side. So what I'm going to do is just kind of push it down, put just a little bit of a loop in the bottom there, if you can see that. That's how we want to end up. Now we'll take our little housing here, and I'm going to push it over the circuit board. The wires are going to come out the little slot right there. And this is what it looks like on the other side. Okay, so you can see the wires coming out through the slot on that little housing. And we've got our mounting base here. And there's where the hole is that the light will go through. And then here's the brass insert for the screw. So I'm going to take this and put this right on top, kind of line that up there. And I've got the hole lined up. So we'll put the screw right through that hole. And grab my screwdriver. And this just needs to be snug. You don't want to get too crazy with the torque on that. That's kind of what it's going to look like there. Okay, that is finished. That's what that looks like. Now we want to mount this base plate assembly onto this loop of the wire form. So what I'm going to do is take this clamp plate off. It's got two fasteners on it. A little bit more. Okay. Now that mounts just like that. And I'm going to put this plate on top. Okay, and I'm just going to snug these up. You don't have to get crazy with the torque on this one either. We just want them to be good and snug. Okay, just like that. All right, so we've got the playfield forward, and here is the power wire with the voltage regulator housing. I went ahead and put two cable ties through the slots on that voltage regulator. And what we're going to do is wire tie it to this bundle right here. That's right below the handle on the back side of the backboard. So I'm going to loop my wire tie around here. There's one. Get the other one. Okay. Just tighten those up a little bit. And this just gives the voltage regulator a place to live. And trim those off. And I want to add one more cable tie on my power wire. It's just kind of hanging here. So what I'm going to do is bring it over here and wire tie it somewhere around here just so it's a little cleaner. Okay. Okay, for the next step we need our wiring harness here. And what we're going to do is we're going to begin by fishing this 3-pin connector underneath this ramp right here. This is the TIE Fighter loop. And we're going to take this plug and just push it through there. Now you'll see on the front side there's a bit of a lip there, so you kind of have to work a little bit to get it to pop down. Okay, there it is. Okay, coming out through there. Now, as far as the length of the wire, the easiest way to gauge that is to take the plug all the way up to the base here, and that gives you just the perfect amount of wire. So, just a little bit more. I'm feeding it through the back at the same time. Okay, so there's our length that we want. Now I can take and just tuck that under this wire form like that, and that'll hold it in place. And then I'm going to put just a little bit of a bend on the end. That's where it's going to plug into the motion control unit. Okay, so here's the other end of the wiring harness. Now we need to take our power wire and connect it to the wiring harness, and it's keyed, and we'll just snap those in like that. Make sure it's fully seated. Okay, now we need to connect our wiring harness to the opto center. To do that, we've got to cut the bundle loose here, and this is the hyperspace loop. So cut that, and we'll separate these a little bit. Okay. What we're looking for is this bundle of wires here with this connector that's got the green, yellow, orange wire. So I've got the tool that comes with it. So this is optional. You could just pull really hard and wiggle and get these apart, or you can use this tool if you like. And to use the tool, start by just pulling a little bit on the connectors, and that opens up this gap. This tool is designed to go right in there and hook on the chamfer that's there. And now I've got it fully seated. All I have to do now is just use a little bit of leverage and pop that out like that. Okay. Now we'll take the connector from our wiring harness, which is right here. And these are also keyed, so they only go in one way. So this one will plug into this side, like so, and then we'll plug this one into the machine. And now we have tapped into the opto sensor. Now with one of the wire ties that come with the kit, you can tie this back up and clean it up, make it look nice. Okay, so the last step is to plug our motion control unit into our cable that we routed, and it is keyed, so you can only put it in one way. And I will just plug it in this side, make sure it's fully seated like that. And now to connect it to the base, you just lower it down on the magnets, and these mechanical features will align the mod. Set it down like that, and that's all there is to it. Okay, we've got the machine powered up now. What you'll notice at power up is that the Falcon will go through a startup sequence and home the servos, and I can demonstrate that by opening the coin door here. So the power's off to the node board. Now the power comes back on, and after a couple of seconds you'll see the Falcon cycle, and then the servo's home. The other thing I want to point out is this machine is in tracked mode. You see the engine lighting up there. So the LED from the old engine lighting is mounted here. You can see that blinking right there. That light shines on a sensor. So essentially, all of the lighting effects in the machine are now transferred to that engine module until it goes into the Hyperloop mode. So the other thing you can do is take a ball to check your opto switch to make sure it's running or working correctly. So I'll push this through and you should see the Falcon cycle. There we go. Another thing to note is if for some reason the mod is not getting the opto signal, it will go into a fault mode where the engine will turn red. So if you see that, that means the opto isn't plugged in correctly, or there might be another issue. So if you see that fault mode and you're not able to clear it, drop us a line and we'll help you with that. Okay, well, that's the installation. So from Richie and Alex at Stellar Pinball, we really hope you enjoyed this mod. Thanks for watching.